We thought we would end our time in Blue Ridge with a chance for us to get to linger a little while at a favorite hangout spot for the locals and the tourists alike. We are here at Grumpy Old Men Brewing talking with Jeff Young. He and his wife Christy have been coming down to Blue Ridge for a number of years, and about what, 5 years ago you took over?
Yes, 5 years ago at the end of January.
So, as any good owner would, he welcomed us in, kind of said hello, we shook hands, got to see some of your friends, have a bit of a conversation, and then you said, do you want to try a beer? In which we said, sure.
Certainly.
So, when y'all bought it 5 years ago, there were about 4 or 5 beers on tap. Is that right?
Yeah, depending on the week, they might have had a few more on tap because they made different ones. They basically had 5 or so that they distributed.
Okay.
So those were the regulars.
Now there are 24.
Yes, we don't distribute all of those, but we try to average 24. We've got the taps up there, so we try to keep them full.
Okay, so there's this darling woman, Bethany, who was behind the counter. She and Bob were here. And I said, which one should I try? And so y'all just kind of chose for me and offered me a fan favorite that your wife, Christy, kind of came up with. Is that right? And you thought it wouldn't be a hit?
I was 100% convinced we probably couldn't sell it. We were in Phoenix, Arizona, a number of years back, and she tried something similar, and she always wanted to do that beer. So when we bought the brewery, she said, you got to make that beer. And I said, it's not really, I don't know how to do it. It's not really it was a white chocolate wheat.
Which is what I have right now.
Now, it's easy to make a wheat beer, but adding white chocolate to a beer is a little more difficult. And to get the flavor right is probably even more difficult. One day we were I don't know, we were arguing, but this probably went on for 6 months.
You were grumpy?
I was grumpy. I said, I'm just not going to make it, and it's not going to work. And she kept up and kept up. So finally one day we were at home, and I was looking online, and I think that was the first time in my life I realized white chocolate doesn't actually have chocolate in it. So then I started to think, well, the ingredients are pretty easy. I could add those. So we came back into the brewery and we started working on it. I think we went through 1 or 2 versions of it. And by the time we had the third one, it was great. I thought it was great. We were all happy with it, except her. It still tasted too much like beer. And but that was part of my deal. Was it is a beer, so it has to taste a little bit like beer.
Yeah.
And you can probably attest to the fact that there's some beer in there.
Yes. So I sampled it, and I said, okay, that's the one for me. It is absolutely delicious. So here's the thing. You've got these 24 beers on tap. When you're in Blue Ridge and you go to restaurants around town, many of them are serving your beer.
Yes.
The thing that will surprise you, I think, in the layer upon layer that you unravel when you come here to Blue Ridge, is that there are some people who are born and bred, true. But so much of the Blue Ridge community now is elective. People have chosen to come here.
Yeah.
You were a dentist in Michigan.
Yes.
Now you're a tap room owner in Blue Ridge.
Yes. I was a dentist for about 25 years in Michigan, and I just, we brewed, we home brewed, and that was kind of our basis, how we knew about brewing. When we came here, the guys that previously owned it, the 2 guys said, if it feels like work, we're going to sell it. And so kind of kept in the loop with them. And it's funny because one day I got a text from a guy that owns a Catholic priest that owns a restaurant bar.
Oh, the Irish pub.
Mm-hmm. And he texted me and he said, the boys are going to sell the brewery. And I texted back, how do you know? And he said, well, they just left here. And so I called them, and that immediately started the whole process. We didn't even live here full time. We had a place, and we came down all the time. The problem that was coming up was every time we came down, it would get to a point where I would have to go back because I had a business there. And my wife every time would say, well, I'm going to stay for a little while. And it got longer and longer. And finally one time we came down, and when I was going back, she said, I'm not going back.
So here's the thing. As a dog just came walking in the door, by the way, people come in here, they're on a main drag, really, when you're on the road that you're on. So you said often people will pull in because they see the sign, Grumpy Old Men, it pulls them in. As we were talking, Jeff and I were at the bar, we saw 2 friends, 2 men come in, and they paused to take their picture in front of the door. It's a nostalgic feeling when you come here, I think, for people. And you come as you are, and you are immediately welcomed in.
Yes, I think that's probably, that happens a lot in Blue Ridge all around. But that's one of the key things here is that people come in and they'll sit at one of the tables or close enough or along the bar there with other people and immediately start a conversation. And we have a few that actually are here right now that will start a conversation up so quick you won't even know. And you're having a conversation.
It must be a Blue Ridge talent. I don't know if if you develop it, if you're here long enough, or if you have it, you just naturally gravitate here. But that's a true statement you just made, that there are, I keep saying it, that people come here from all ports of call to Blue Ridge, but they all seem to find each other.
Yeah.
So we can come here from Chattanooga and the North Georgia area as a quote visitor, and we won't feel like one.
Right. It doesn't take very long, and then you'll feel like you belong here. And that's kind of what happened to us.
Do you have has there been a surprise for you in owning the business?
To be honest, the biggest surprise is probably the amount of growth. When we bought it 5 years ago, I knew it would grow because the two previous owners were really keeping it from growing because they didn't want to work that hard. And when we took over and kind of opened it up and added more hours, it grew like crazy. And I think that surprised me more than anything because the growth was more than I expected.
I had fun talking with you and your wife because y'all begin to kind of brag on your babies grown up, if you will. And you've had a lot of people who've come in to work for you and with you who now have their own breweries in town.
Yes.
And you're happy to see that because it just keeps it going.
Well, and I think, I visit those breweries on occasion, and
they come to you.
Yes, and if I get a good beer there, then I figure all of us that were a part of this did something right because they went on and they're making good beers. And I think, opening more breweries, fun places in a town only does that town good.
You are truly an old-fashioned tap room. You do beer, and that is all you do, right? There's no food.
No food. We do have seltzers, which I don't consider a beer, but it's an alcohol. No food. We do have some snacks. And we do have food trucks that come, and we're getting more and more food trucks as they come up to the Blue Ridge area.
Well, you have a wonderful group of friends. They love to support you, and I can see why. So you're open, 7 days a week?
Yes. We're open from noon, 12:30 on Sunday, noon the rest of the days, and we open till 7 on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and 8 the rest of the days.
It's a beautiful spot. They've got tables outside. If you come to Blue Ridge with your dog, the dog can come inside.
Yep.
Give him some water, maybe not a beer.
No water, and there are treats, bags of treats around. So.
And I'm drinking, what is this called?
Choco Blanco, white wheat ale.
I highly recommend it. I got to sample the amber ale. It was good too. And the blonde you said is a bestseller?
To be honest, that's probably our best seller, but we do sell a lot of the blonde and whatever lagers we have because a lot of people just like a lighter beer.
Okay. This one's a doozy. I'm going to have another sip. In the meantime, you can find them. Should they follow you on Facebook? All the social media sites?
Yeah, all the social media sites. On the website. In fact, we have music out here on the weekends, and most of the time I'm contacted through our website, social media, whatever. Cheers.
Thank you.
Ba-da-ba.